Ticket Machine is the official ticket broker of Spartan Nation. No matter what you need a ticket for, border to border, coast to coast, the Ticket Machine is your ticket source. So whether you need to get into the hottest concerts, the best sporting events, you want the best seats in the house, or you just want to get in the door, when you want to go to any event that requires a ticket, anywhere, border to border, coast to coast, it's always theticketmachine.com. Theticketmachine.com, 517-655-3201. Check it out today at theticketmachine.com.
Lane so well. I don't think we're running quite as well, but he defends so well, and he's a threat to take those three-point shots, which expands your offense a little bit, spaces it out. So what looks like on paper is true, but it's not totally true, because we'd be a much better team right now with Josh, and I hope we get him back soon.
Do you have any update? I may have missed that.
I don't have any update. I think the update will come. You know, he got a little treatment. They said it'll be a week or so, and they'll take the boot off, and then we'll kind of have a better update, I would say, by next Monday, Tuesday.
What about Kyle? I know he was...
Yeah, Kyle hurt his back a little bit, and you know, he didn't do much today. You know, it'll be a day-to-day thing, but you know, he had hurt it a couple weeks ago, and then I think on that dunk in the Ohio State game, he wrenched it, and then he got hit the other night. I don't think that was as big a problem as the twisting, but I guess he's got a minor back sprain or whatever. So that will be something I will keep an eye on, because that would be two people at a similar position. Now we're getting down into one of you guys.
I was going to ask you about Gabe. That's probably where Gabe comes in, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, if Gabe's already going to have to play more, I think we're trying to spend a little more time with Gabe, Foster, and of course Aaron, because all three of those guys, if I move some guys around, you know, it's been a little tough too that we played some teams with huge guards, which Nebraska has. Now, Penn State, that's something they don't have, so I think we can play little different lineups that might make it a little better, depending on, of course, the health of Josh, which he won't play on Saturday anyway, or Sunday, but then we'll see what happens with Kyle.
You decided not to have practice today. What were the tells that you saw in the last 24 hours, like they needed a little more rest?
Yeah, you know, because we were off yesterday, we had the mandatory day off, and I met with some players yesterday. I spent a lot of time with Cassius, and talked to my staff, and everybody just thought there aren't many opportunities to get 2 days. Talked to my trainers, doctors, and not for any reason of illness, but just thought that it would be beneficial maybe for the 2 weeks, and not quite as beneficial for me. I just don't do this stuff, so I'm in newfound territory.
But also your November wasn't a usual November, and it sounded like you got the practices around Christmas. You needed to get a lot done.
We got some stuff done at Christmas.
You worked
and
hard.
We had film session today. You know, we had some mental part of the practice, but for the most part, there's still some things I want to get done. Like, I'm really disappointed in our cutouts. We're not rebounding the ball. We're rebounding it because we're holding opponents to low field goal percentages, but you know, one team had 19 offensive boards, one team had 13, one team had 15. That's un-American here, so we got to change that. About the only way you can change it is get out there and bang some bodies. But I don't know what wisdom I used, but I was convinced that it was the right wisdom.
Your field goal percentage defense of the team is really strong this year without the shot blocking, rim protection. Does that surprise you a little bit?
It did. It did, but if you remember early, that was really a point of concern after the first 3-4 games, and I'll be honest with you, we had to come to somebody's meeting. You know, we had to sit down with our whole team and said, this ain't what's going to get it done. And to their credit, you know, which I think veterans do a better job of, they listened, they heard, and they responded. And that's what I really liked about this team, is they're responding. I just don't want to have to tell them the same things over and over. That's the next step for us, and that's why this weekend's important.
What's enabling that field goal percentage defense, not giving up much penetration?
Well, you know, we are blocking a few more shots than you think. Nick has actually done a pretty good job. Kenny's done a pretty good job, but I think we're more gapping it than we ever have, and we're not giving up that penetration. We're realizing that who's not as good defensively, we're trying to help earlier. And I think for the most part, scouting has been really good by my staff. They've done a great job, and I think players would agree that's helped us.
Some of that's a sign of a veteran team. So you got older players.
Older players that understand what they got to do, and I think that's really helped us, yes.
Tom, what do you think Gabe's defense is? Is that the next place you want to see him really take big strides again?
What do I think Gabe's defense is? You know, I'm going to come up with a smart aleck answer to that, right? Like, I don't know, he hasn't hit the defensive part yet, you know, but, you know, Gabe is a guy I love because he works and he's tough. I mean, he's from the streets a little bit, and I really appreciate his grinding ability. It's just that, you know, he didn't go through that maybe in high school, and it's hard because all of a sudden maybe he played more center, and now he's guarding guards, and I thought for the most part he made some progress in the last 2 games, but he's got a long ways to go if we're going to need him as a real contributor.
That first half, was that the best few minutes I guess you've seen of it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
Or whatever, he was 4 or 5.
It was, and I should have got him a few more in the second half, but the game kind of went up and down, but Gabe's going to be a heck of a player someday, and when we can take advantage of his rebounding, his length, defensively, it's just a matter of knowing his assignments. As he gets that down, he's got all the other skills to be a good defender.
And then there were 3.
Kenny told me after the Northwestern game that the emphasis started back in the summer from you and your staff was for you to call fewer sets, have more read and react, more what he called just playing basketball, even though is that
we've done that a little bit, you know, like everybody will tell you that, you know, that's off the record for a second, Krzyzewski's made that up, you know, like it's freelance, you know, scout them, they're all plays, you know, but what we tried to do is when a play breaks down, we tried to work hard this summer of understanding the game. I'd say that bigger than that has been moving the ball, keeping the ball going side to side. We try to work a little harder on spacing, no matter if you run plays or not. But that is a true statement. You know, we wanted to work on understanding the game a little more. Like when you got juniors and seniors compared to freshmen and sophomores, it's easier to do that, you know. And it is funny though if you look at all the different programs. I mean, look at the top programs right now. I mean, Kansas, when they were 1, they were running everything. Michigan runs the most structured offense you can run. Who else is up there? Virginia, you know, it's just one. So, I mean, it gets to be it's the catchword of what kids want to hear, great for recruiting, but the NBA runs a lot of plays, and we don't run as many as we used to. And I think our spacing's better, I think our ball movement's better, but I think our running game's better. So we said, let's run, see if we can get into Nick on a break where it's harder to double them. And that has caused us to get shots up quicker and still shoot a good percentage. So for a while, we were getting 65 shots up. You know, our goal is to get to 60. Sometimes that's in our control, sometimes it's not. Like, what game was it? We shot 37 free throws. You're not going to get 60 shots up because they're all fouls. So that's what we've tried to change, and it was an emphasis this summer. And when you talk to Kenny again, tell him the other emphasis is he looks at the basket, gets a little more offensive-minded, because I think he's got very good offensive potential. If he, you know, those threes he missed were all good shots, and he was really shooting them a lot in the summer, but I think he kind of got away from it a little bit. And that could be another big step we could take as a team.
He said, and Cassius said the same thing, that not just the ball movement, but the off-the-ball movement. And the way they were reacting to each other without, it's almost understood in some ways. And Kenny compared a little bit to Denzel's senior year.
I would agree with that.
Offense, how fluid it was that year, right?
And our break was good, and I would agree with that, but let's take a look at the group now. So you got Cassius, you got Nick, and you got Josh, who are all played together since their freshman year. Cueto is in that group. Kenny's in that group other than the injury. And Arnie was here for part of it, and then those are, and X just happens to be a very intelligent player. So that's 7 guys that you're playing a lot that do have a good feel. And you know, this day and age where kids are transferring and leaving and freshmen are coming in, it's harder to do that. But yeah, I'd say that's fair on both accounts.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it is. About paying a little more attention to it.
Tom, with the threats that you have with Cassius penetrating in transition, early offense and so forth, and the wings, they're all shooting better, McQuaid and everything, and Ward, such a threat down low, people are going to start picking their poison. Do you think that your 4 position is going to get more face-up shots like they did the other night? Is that what people are going to want to live with?
I do, and that's why I said that, you know. Now, if we run our break right, it's hard for anybody to help or cheat. But I do think that, you know, our 4-man will, and I'm comfortable with that. I hope he gets challenged a little bit. And X has been shooting the ball better now when you shot like he did the other night, you know, but I'm not opposed to him taking some of those shots. I'm really not. He's worked on it hard, and that's all I feel comfortable about that.
And sometimes in the past, you've had that position begin shooting well in the second half of the season. I mean, Granger didn't start shooting well 99 to the last season. Draymond, when he was afraid, you know,
Draymond was
lower
in the
back.
same boat. Lower back, way
it's
back.
Late in the year that can happen.
You know, even JJ, even Jaren, you know, he had his ups and downs. But I mean, when Nick's playing well, that does leave some freedom for that guy. Just like that's the problem with Josh not being here. He extends the court even more than Arnie because he runs so well. When that court's extended, it's harder to double Nick or get to Nick. But I'm really pleased with Nick, too, as far as handling those double teams. Now, the first half of this last game, he was, I don't know where he was. The bus didn't arrive on time or something. But after he got going again, threw some great passes out of those double teams. He doesn't fear them anymore. So if teams want to double and leave those guys open, bring it on.
Tom, I want to ask you, going back to Adrian Payne, all the way through Kenny.
Another one.
Adrian Payne, Kenny Goyens, Xavier. DJ's done a phenomenal job. And when you work for a Hall of Fame coach, sometimes that Hall of Fame coach gets so much credit that it overshadows assistants. But with what he's done with your bigs, can you talk about just how much of a blessing he's been to this?
I think that's a great point, you know. And but at my stature, I don't take any credit for the bigs.
No, but I'm saying, but you do. But the outside people, ADs and stuff, don't necessarily think that way.
Well, you know what? In DJ's case, I mean, if you look at how Nick has, even the free throw shooting, he spent a lot more time with him on the free throw shooting. Xavier has come along like gangbusters. You know, he's really Adrian Payne developed, Draymond Green developed. I mean, there's no question he deserves a lot of credit for that, and he has a great offensive mind, but even a better defensive mind. So I think that's where we're making some progress. We're getting something out of it. Kenny is definitely a better player than he was a year ago, and X is a lot better player than he was a year ago. And believe it or not, Nick is better than he was a year ago. He's better defensively. That was an emphasis this summer, getting him to be up on those ball screens and do more. And DJ does deserve a lot of credit for that. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right, guys.